we know that alleged witches at the Ghani witch camp are actually protesting the president's decision. Of course, we'll bring you what you're seeing on the screens right now. That demonstration has been taking place, and you see the inscription clearly. Mr. President, assenting to the Anti-Witchcraft Bill should be a priority to, quote, protect women. And that's the message being sent across to the government on this very legislation. It's the reason for which we want to broaden the conversation here on The Pulse. And joining me now is features editor Jojo Kobna, who's been taking a look at this. And Jojo, you've done countless stories on, witchcraft camps. Talk about Gambaga, talk about the latest one we're looking at. And the stories are very grueling, the need for us to free these women in captivity. Tell us about, first of all, the extent of work you've done and what you found in these northern parts, and not just northern parts of the country, but across the country, looking at issues of witchcraft camps and, the inhumane detention of these women on some allegations.
So the very first time I went to the witches camp, alleged witches camp, was in 2008. At the very beginning of my career. And I have gone there many times. I can count more than 10 times. And every time I keep going, it's like a yearly thing to actually find out. First, I wanted to find out whether the numbers were growing, that they were declining. At the point, they were declining, and then they started growing.
Right.
And many times, all the stories that you keep hearing is, they have sent them to the witches camp. But the real stories, how the people are beaten, how the people are maltreated, how some even die, before they even get to the camps themselves. So you could really see that this is something that the state really needed to do something about. And the main reason why I kept talking about it was because we look at the laws that we have as a country. Women are not supposed to be treated that way. They are not supposed to be treated that way, but it happens. So it was to force government to do something about it. A typical story of someone said, okay, I was arguing with someone's mother, and then the son came and said, I'm a witch. And then they rushed them to the Gambaga witch camp. Yeah. Then they did what they call a trial by ordeal. They sacrificed some fowls, and the fowl said, oh no, the woman is not a witch. Then when she went home, they cut her hand. It's a story, and the guy fled. The person who perpetrated the act fled and has never been seen. Sometimes a very ridiculous statements like, I had a dream about you, and when I slept, I dreamt that you were chasing me, and so you're a witch. And these are the stories that keep happening.
And of course, we're seeing some pictures of that's a hint,
yes,
right?
And so yes. So
that's the exercise you're talking about.
Yes, this particular story, I did it 2 years ago, titled Finding the Witch Hunters, because I wanted to know that this story was actually looking at the perpetrators, people who actually did commit those heinous acts, and so it's a tracking. So I think we can watch it briefly, and then we can have this conversation.
He slaughters a fowl, throws it down. The fowl dances. The position at which the fowl lies tells you whether you are a witch or not.
Almost a deed journey, or you will sky a dear. What the daddy, but the abominable Moja Fidha, no Moja.
If a chief of any community calls you that this is what is going on, I have come in, taking over the case, so stop it. My brother, that ends it.
The young men besieged my home and started accusing me. Before I could talk, they started slapping me and they slashed me with a machete. I started bleeding in the nose and mouth. I was confused, so I asked them why they were attacking me. They said I was a witch, and I was shocked. I asked, have I killed anyone? Have I made anyone sick? So why are you attacking me? Their fathers supported them. Their fathers told them to kill me. They hurt my child's eye. But they chased me and started slashing me with a machete. They cut off my 2 fingers. My neighbor came to my rescue. I had difficulty walking. Before I could get to her house, they cut part of my arm and the side of my face. They started lashing me. I have very bad scars.
Mary's story made headlines when a physician assistant, Thomas Asetanga, recorded the abuse and circulated it to the media. According to him, Mary could have easily died from the life-threatening wounds. So he circulated pictures of the attack to the media with the sole intention to exert some form of pressure on the police to arrest the perpetrators.
All she could say was, Meba, Pacho Buamwai, Meba, Pacho Buamwai. That's all she could say. And I think that also was one reason why I decided to send pictures out, because I felt this needed to be out there for people to see what had happened. That was just my motivation. I wanted to get justice.
The chief of Sumpini community said he called the police to act and they arrested 5 people, but the main culprits bolted.
Immediately even I was told that there was bloodshed in my village. Well, and before I came here, I passed to police. I reported the case to them. Yeah, that there was something smelling in my village, so I need their assistance. Before I came, they were not in town. Because I came with police, they were not in town, they all bolted.
Have they come back?
They started coming after the case.
Gafada, no, this kind of bomisan. What the 2 gem, no, the shame. Hey.
For the first time, the perpetrators of such brutalities would face the law, or so it seemed. Unfortunately, the case did not progress after the second adjournment. Mary's brother says he felt pressured by many parties to settle the case out of court. So, they yielded.
I was also the only brother who could support. And so when the issue came up, I had to be called to try to allow sleeping dogs to lie. Whilst they were not dead, they could take care of our medical bills. In one of my engagements with the magistrate, he told me that very powerful hands are in the case already. So what he could do was that he will adjourn the case to another time. Then when we got to court, the judge was happy that they have made a step of paying our medical bills. So the judge could go on to say something. Looking at the powers that were coming and present, I realized that I could not fight those powers, but rather than to agree to what they proposed. So it isn't that I was forced, but circumstances made me to actually agree to those conditions.
The chief of Sumpini also said the magistrate instructed him to settle the case out of court.
The magistrate even said it, that they should come to me. I myself, I was not happy at all. I was not happy, but because they said I should unite the people, well, I was compelled to. I was compelled even to unite even the people.
You spoke to the MP?
Yeah, I spoke to him.
And what did he tell you?
So the MP said, okay, he will help, and then he did help. He gave 150 million. Samuel Abulai Jirapo.
The Ghana police said
they discontinued the case because the chiefs wanted to settle the case out of court.
On going to the court again for the adjournment, some opinion leaders, including the chief of the town, the assemblyman, some political heads, came in and said they are families. The suspects and the victim, they are families. It is unfortunate they've tagged the woman as a witch and has done that nasty thing to her. So they have taken up the case. They want to settle the bills at the hospital, compensate her, and then reunite them. So they are appealing that police should exercise patience for them to settle all those things and see if it will work. In these 3 or 5 northern regions, we have a peculiar problem, which is that if a chief of any community calls you that this is what is going on, this is what is happening, I have come in, taking over the case, so stop it. My brother, that ends it.
Settling such a criminal case of this nature strengthens and promotes impunity to perpetrate more heinous crimes. Human rights lawyers and activists are appalled that the police would discontinue such a critical case.
And of course, very touching revelations there. But the problem still persists, even as
yes,
you
the
speak.
problem still persists. And this particular law is supposed to solve the problem that we just saw, where Mary Ibrahim really wanted the case pursued, and then many powers got into the case and then reviewed the case. And so that we had no law at that particular time. So they were trying to find other ways of prosecuting. Now we have a clear law that can easily handle such a case. And then this happens. And you remember when the bill was passed, right. It was passed in July. Since that time, 3 people have been murdered for,
witchcraft
allegations.
Yes.
One in the northeast region, one in the northern, 2 in the northern region. And it is one happened at the palace.
I see.
So you can imagine.
It tells you, Jojo Kobina is a features editor here, joining us with the latest on that. But Jojo is just telling us about how structural this has become, intentional this has become. In fact, it's gone way back, as you have pointed out in your report. And I guess the president's bill, assenting to this bill, will be very crucial.
Yes, it is very crucial. And this bill traveled so far. Because I had a very special interest in this particular thing, because it's a story that we have done, and as a journalist, when you do a story, you follow it up. So when this documentary aired, and then I remember the MP Francis Osu reached out and said he was going to file a private member's bill. We were all excited. We hailed him for a very good job, and then when it passed, we were all very happy that this was a very, very, very good, human rights promotion law, and we're excited about that. It's going to protect women, protect a very vulnerable women, and so that is the reason why proponents of the bill really feel let down.
Jojo, thank you. It's the reason for which we're having this conversation, because more and more civil society groups are mounting pressure for the president to act. I want to bring in now Professor John Azuma, who's the executive director at Sani Institute, joining the conversation. Is also a member of the coalition of NGOs against witchcraft accusations. Prof, welcome to the show. First of all, your thoughts about the president's posture towards this bill. Do you find some constitutional challenges as he points to?
Yeah, good afternoon, and good afternoon to your listeners. It's very unfortunate that the president has taken this posture. As far as we are concerned, we worked with the members of parliament very, very closely, from drafting the bill together with them under their guidance and their leadership. Every single line was scrutinized, and all the legal and financial implications, the constitutional implications were addressed. These are members of parliament who are also lawyers in their own right. And so for the president to come out with that kind of general statement that there are constitutional issues without naming them, it just gives room for all kinds of speculations. And we are very, very unhappy. We are very disappointed that the president, who is a human rights lawyer, advocate for many years, would be dragging his feet on assenting to this bill to make it a law. This is a bill that as long as we keep dragging our feet, people are dying every day. Since this bill was passed, 5 people have been lynched. And these are only those that we know of. We don't know how many more have been killed secretly. And so it's very sad that the president doesn't see the lives of these poor, innocent people as a priority and would want to find some legal kinds of excuses just to drag his feet or to delay or to refuse to sign this bill. That is so sad for this country.
I see. The point about what the president says, at least there's hope. He says he would return in the coming days to Parliament with a more appropriate process on how this bill should look like in its nature. Even before that time, the belief is that we still have some opening within the law. There's obviously assault on these women, an attack on them which violates their human rights. Why are we not taking respite in that legal opening?
Yeah, well, we that's fine with us. We know that in all of this, we have waited for 3 years. We've worked very hard on this bill for 3 years, since 2020. Some of us have been there. We made a petition to Parliament. We followed through. We worked with the parliamentary sponsors of the bill. We had all kinds of meetings. We took them to the north. We have worked for 3 years for this bill. We are not going to give up. We are going to continue. The president, we know from the Constitution that he has 7 days upon receipt of the bill to indicate whether he was going to sign the bill into law or he was refusing to do so. And within the 7 days, he should either sign or indicate his refusal. He has just done that within the 7 days that he got the bill. But after refusing, the president has got 14 days after refusing to give detailed reasons, specific reasons why he is not assenting to the bill. And that is what we are waiting for. We know there's a process here. The president has 14 days to give us the reason.
I get the constitutional process you're talking about, but my point is about, in the meantime, obviously you're concerned about the human rights of these women we're talking about, and that's why I'm asking if we don't have pre-existing legislation that deals with the same challenge, even if not to the maximum, at least something, some sort of a respite for many CSOs such as yours that fight for the rights of these women. Is there nothing you can rely on?
Unfortunately, we don't, because that is the more reason why this bill was so important.
Is that entirely the case? And that's why I was pointing, for instance, to the blatant attack on these women, assaults, whatever it is. We can take advantage of that if indeed the aim is to solely protect the rights of these women.
Yes, it's not just about protecting human rights. It's about protecting human lives. These lives are at stake here. These are not just rights. These are lives at stake. And what we're talking about is that, these laws that are on the books against battery, against libel, against defamation, against all of that, they don't apply when it comes to witchcraft accusation. When it has to do with soothsaying, witch doctrine, and all the labeling and the accusations. Without the labeling, without the accusations, there will be no lynching. There will be no beatings. And so we have to tackle the problem from the roots. That is what this bill is seeking to do.
The point about cultural complications, looking clearly at the report Jojo Covenant has just put out, it tells you that indeed you have the involvement of chiefs, a very structured institution and revered in this country. You also have the aspect of traditional worship. How do we juxtapose all of this, knowing that the Constitution equally guarantees at least the rights of these, associations?
Absolutely. The Constitution guarantees the freedom of religion and belief. The Constitution protects our traditions and our cultures. Those are absolute rights that are guaranteed in the Constitution. However, the same Constitution stipulates that all practices, cultural, traditional practices that are harmful to human beings and to society should be done away with, should be banned. That is what the Constitution says. And I don't see any cultural, traditional practice or belief that is more harmful than witchcraft, which leads to ostracization, perpetual stigma, generational disgrace of the family, and beatings and lynching. This is a cultural, traditional belief that is very harmful indeed.
And based on the point you're raising now, you're just opening, the debate up as to what might happen if the president within 14 days puts up a defense that doesn't, excuse my language, make sense to you. Will you go to court?
Oh, we are very happy. We are very much prepared as civil society organizations to take up the presidency. That is why we've got lawyers amongst us. We've got all kinds of people. We've got judges amongst us who are part of our team. We are waiting. We don't want to be shooting into the dark. We are waiting to see what reasons the president is going to advance for refusing to sign the bill, and we will take that matter up. That is what we are waiting for.
And finally, the point about you, the CSOs, and the way forward in terms of, trying to protect the rights of these individuals as you equally push for the legislation. Beyond the legislation, what are we to expect from the CSOs coalition, those of you fighting against, witchcraft accusations?
We have always had a three-pronged approach to this whole issue of witchcraft accusations in the country. And we've always said that it has to do with legislation, education, reintegration. We were working on the legislation to use the legislation as a tool for education, for sensitization, for raising of awareness on the harmful effects of witchcraft, the way witchcraft accusation can divide, destroy families, destroy lives and livelihoods. We want to be able to use the legislation to educate people also on the punitive measures, on the as a deterrent to in communities. Because when you're talking about just education alone without backing it up with some kind of deterrent, it doesn't work for everybody. And so we are working on that. We're going to continue with the education that we've been doing, and we have been doing the reintegration very quietly on behind the scenes of women who it is safe for them to go back. We're going to continue doing that. But we were hoping that as soon as the president assents the bill, it will give us the legal leverage and impetus to really upscale these activities.
Okay.
And to take this to the next level.
Right.
That is what we are waiting for, and we are waiting on.
And I'm also waiting to see what the next steps will be. Grateful for your time. Indeed, we need to protect the rights of these women. I agree. Thank you for spending some time with us, Prof, here on The Pulse. Exactly a year.